you want to go first or will I?
Welcome.
2.
Fake swords.
Real feelings.
Arrgh! You fucked us up.
Let's do that again. I got a better idea.
No. We never do retakes of our intro. What are you doing? You're ruining everything.
I want to ruin. Damn it! Why is it so hard to get in this?
It's because we're no longer the nature office. This is the jungle office. The deep jungle of Arakmoor. Yeah, I don't know.
Is that just random fantasy ball?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It is.
Welcome to Fake Swords.
I'm not saying that. We've already done our intro.
Feelings.
If you cut that previous intro out,
I might leave it in.
If he does cut it, I want you to know it was amazing. Anyway, we're here with something a little bit different for you today. Not a recap. We're here to do...
I just learned what we're doing.
Yeah, so Jim, what we're going to do, I'm going to read a lot of stuff to you and you're going to maybe comment on it.
I'm going to do a running commentary on 10 things you should know before going to Empire LARP. Yay! Woo! Empire LARP. I got these knives there. Actually, with the exception of this weeb abomination.
Which is your sword, Jim.
I actually found it in a bin at Comic-Con and thought my niece would like it. And she was like, the fuck is this? Okay.
I mean, a good reaction, but you still have it. So, there's a weeb out there who wants that sword.
Giveaway.
Yes, you tune in. And somehow you will win this.
You will win this insanely weeby katana that may or may not be from Demon Slayer. I think Demon Slayer has the shit on the blade.
Who knows?
Alan knows.
Yeah, well, of course it would. But yeah. We won't post it to you, but we can meet you somewhere and you can get it.
You either come to Ireland or we'll bring it to E3. They're your options. Wait, how do they win it? You know what? We'll come up with that at the end.
We'll figure that out.
You tell us how you win it.
Yeah. You just... The best way of us doing this giveaway, we'll win the giveaway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we thought we'd do a quick video. Well, I say quick, I don't know how long it's going to take.
They've all meant to be quick.
They've all meant to be quick, and then this happens.
Yeah.
Just like the absolute basics. So if you have someone who's new to Empire and you want to kind of give them like here's some like practical things that you should know before you come, or if you are new yourself and you're like, what's going on? What are like basic things I should know? Like, how do I eat at the event? Are there vendors there? What do I do about kit? There's in-character money. We're gonna go through most of that. No, pretty much all of that.
What is that thing in the sky that keeps getting closer?
Yeah, well, that's best to not think about it.
Don't even think about it. Like, don't think about it, and certainly don't think about it hard.
No. So, here we are, number 1, this smash cut here. I don't know what a smash cut is, but do it.
Yeah, okay, cool. Number 1, it's very hard to smash cut to the same shot, but I can try.
We can be a different position.
I do 4 transitions.
Yes. Yeah, like we're in a heist movie. Okay, so first things you need to know, it's just like the absolute basics. And we've covered a lot of this in our other, like, our own introduction to Empire LARP video. So we're not going to go too in-depth in these, but it kind of just the things that you should know about the basics of Empire before you go in.
Yeah.
So first off, you need to know that there's 10 nations. I won't put you on the spot and make you listen, Jim, unless you want to do it.
I can do it.
You're famously not great at this.
Varushka, the Marches, the League, Highguard, the Magic Elf people. I can never remember.
I'll give you that.
Urizen, thank you. The Brass Coast, Dawn, Wintermark, Imperial Orcs, Navarre.
Cool. I want to say there was one missing, or maybe I just didn't get at the same rate as you did.
I'll do it again. Varushka, Urizen, the Marchers, the League, Highguard, Brass Coast, Dawn, Imperial Orcs, Navarre, Wintermark. Did I say Wintermark?
Yeah, I think so.
Who am I missing?
I don't know. No, I'm confused.
Let's count back. Quality content. Wintermark, Varushka, Dawn, Navarre, Imperial Orcs, Highguard, Urizen, Marchers, League, Varushka. Yeah, 10.
Nailed it. It only took way too long.
Smooth as silk.
So yeah, you should know about your your chosen nation. You don't need to know about really anything about any of the other nations.
That can be all found out in play.
Yeah.
You just let your character know your nation and discover the rest in play.
I don't know what Greece is.
It's used in like cooking.
I mean the country. Did you know there's a country called Greece?
Yeah, it's used in cooking.
Okay, yeah, they
do like yogurt.
So like I don't know much about them. And that's fine because I'm not from there. So you don't need to know about Navarre if you're from wherever, Wintermark or something. You don't need to know. So don't worry about it.
Besides, they'll tell you.
They will. The next thing you need to know is uniting all of those nations is one religion. It's the way. You need to know any other religion is heresy.
Yeah.
That's a big one. It's theocratic fascist dictatorship state almost. The dictatorship. It's actually quite democratic, but it is very theocracy.
Yeah, it's a grey area. Like when you're playing as a monster, which we'll probably get to later, you know, you feel like the Empire are the bad guys.
Yeah.
When you're playing as the Empire, you're like, we might be the bad guys.
But it's all fun, so it's fine. And then finally, you can be, maybe not finally, within that, you can be a human or an orc. So they are only two races, but within humans, there are lineages, which are kind of like Nagas, elves, Draugr, stuff like that, which we won't go into, but there are other like flavors of human, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it needs to be said though that they're not elves, they're changelings.
They're not elves.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Name all the lineages.
Marrow, Nagas.
Yeah.
People know why I like Nagas.
Yeah.
Changeling, Draugr, Briar, Cambion. I think that's it. I don't think I'm missing one.
I couldn't do it. They're all in the game. Anyway.
They are all in the game.
I know there are a few lineages outside of the Empire, but they're not playable.
Like those,
will never be.
The ones that only like grow till into like 5 or 6 or something.
There's like 20 or something. The guys from the Commonwealth, so like they're real hasty and stuff. I can't remember their name, but they're cool. But they'll never be in play. Yeah. Which is why I stopped getting into them.
Yeah. So there is also kind of on this topic. There's a great guide of like the minimum your player should know. We'll leave a link to that in the description.
Yeah.
It goes way more into detail on this kind of stuff, but it's a really good thing. Definitely you should read that before your first event for sure.
Yeah.
And then the other absolute basis is like, what kind of game is there? So I've put like roughly 8 types of gameplay, but I'm not. This might be my own.
There's probably more, you know, because there's like people and their whole game is playing chess at the pub for the weekend. Like,
yeah.
know, so
I've categorized that under other.
You've got them all.
Yeah, it's a nice catch-all term.
Arguably, all of Empire is other.
Yeah. But yeah, I've loosely characterized it into combat, magic, crafting. I put like surgical in there because like the hospital is like a big part of a lot of people's games.
I'd say medical. Yeah.
Medical, yeah,
the healing game.
Healing, yeah. Surgical's a weird word.
Because surgeons or chirurgeons are actually only one part of the medical game because you can be healed. Like if you want to, and each of these expands in. So like, do you want to finish your list?
Yeah. Religion, politics, trading, and other.
So each of these, like, say you want to play the combat game, that you go in and then it like expands out. There's a word for that, but I can't remember what it is. So you go into the combat game and you kind of start off like we did, which is like, oh, we'll go on some skirmishes, we'll do the big battle. And then the more you do that, you realize like, I might want to take a command role and command a large number of people, or I might want to go in and be part of like a knightly order and go in and do proper skirmishing, or I might want to be part of like a shock troop unit that goes in and breaks shields and stuff. So like even inside that, and then you could be like, I want to be a duelist on the field in Anvil and be in the glory square like dueling people, or going into like the league and finding fencers to fight and stuff. So like similar like healing, you could be like a surgeon or a chirurgeon. They have a funny name in Anvil, but like they sit in the hospital, which is next to the Sentinel Gate. So when everybody comes back from the war, like people are like brought into them and they have all this cool stuff where like they have little bottles they crunch for like your bones breaking, and Kira has like leeches she takes out and puts on you and stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool. Or you could be like a field medic. So like Lady Di, Anna, she heals with like herbs and like magic and stuff on the field, which is really cool. Or you could just be like Tori, who's like oh, are you injured? Fucking quick heal. Get back in there. Like, who's magic heals.
Yeah.
So like, everything expands, and it's exactly as deep as you want it to be. Like, you can just keep going.
That's going to be a theme that comes up later on. Is like, it's as much what you want it to be as possible. Fucking stay still.
Do you think I can hit that Tech 7 with one of these throwing knives?
They're not going to see it. He missed. He got it. So yeah, consider maybe being interested in like 2, maybe 3 of these overall areas.
Yeah.
Just to give yourself a wide range of things to do and just to be interested in. But there's so much. Don't worry about the rest, because again, like I don't know what Greece is, I also don't know what a religion or a politic is. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how they work in real life, so why would I know how they work in the game?
Yeah.
You know? And
then you'll find like, you'll get completely overwhelmed if you try to do everything. Like, our first time in Empire, we had all these great plans to do everything. We did like 1% of what we had planned.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, this is going to be event 7 for me, and I only just stepped into the Senate for the first time in the last game. Like, first time ever understanding anything about it, and it was great. But like, I think Senate will probably never be that interesting again as well. So,
yeah, probably.
There's so much to discover, and just drip feed yourself it, you know? You've got forever.
Yeah. So yeah, they are the absolute basics. So that is the first thing in our series of 10 things that you should know about Empire. Point number 2.
Iverido in Liath. Oh, cheeky 1.5.
Yeah.
Real world languages exist in Empire, and if you're fluent in a language in the real world, email PD and be like, hey, I'm fluent in Russian, I'm fluent in German, I'm fluent in Irish. And they'll be like, oh, hey, this is how that language is represented in the game. You could have backstory from X. So if you're fluent in German, you could be from the Commonwealth or have been in the Commonwealth and speak that language. Cheeky half point.
That's something I should do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one is about how to make a character. So nice that you kind of brought in backgrounds a little bit there.
Yeah, unintentional segue.
So look, you've chosen your nation. That's like the most important thing.
You keep going. I'm afraid I didn't hit record.
Okay, cool. Staff fell. So
I did.
Great. Next step is like look at the archetypes within that nation. There are a few things. You hold this. I'm gonna face take your fill. So like
quality content.
In Dawn, for example, there's like a few different types of like character or archetype you can be. Like you can be a knight errant, a questing knight, a yeofolk, a retainer, a seneschal, an earl, and a enchantress. There's like loads of stuff. So have a look at one of those and be like, okay, this kind of, entices me. I might be interested in this.
Yep.
And then there's 2 parts of actually creating a character then. One is the mechanics and 2 is the personality.
Yeah.
So on mechanics, you have stats and XP. We're not going to get into them hugely, but yeah, you do start the game with like 8 XP, so you won't be able to make. So remember in the last tip we talked about the different types of gameplay. Your character probably won't be able to have stats and everything. So this is why it's kind of important to understand what type of character you want to play.
Yeah.
And stat accordingly. And there's like a little. I won't spoil it, but the next point is going to be like you'll have flexibility within that.
This is new to me as well. I didn't know about this next point.
Yeah, and this is the other thing which I only found out when I was doing like the research for this.
I had no idea that.
Me neither. Just didn't come up. So you can actually go into the game with spending none of those experience points if you want. And basically there's like an apprentice mechanic set up. I think it's primarily my read on it is that it's intended for like kids and things like that.
Oh, okay. Or like people who age up out of the academy kind of thing.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But basically if you have spent no experience points, you can access any skill in the game, provided you are being trained how to do that skill by someone who is trained in it.
Yeah.
So like if I'm fresh, I've got no skills, and I'm like, I'd love to learn about herbs. I want to learn how to make a potion. I can go make a potion with someone who can make potions, but that counts as me having made it.
Yeah.
Which is like just like a nice little way to dip your toes in without getting things getting too invested.
Like without committing points and stuff to it.
Yeah.
But even if you do commit points, it's okay if you don't like what you've done, because after your first event, PD are generally very, very friendly and will let you re-roll up the character if you really didn't like what you were playing.
And you're skipping ahead to point 3, but that's okay.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah, 'cause there's a little bit to go into in there. And then the second thing, once you've had your stats, is your personality. So maybe, Jim, do you want to talk a little bit about making a personality for your character and what not to do, and your experience in having changed characters?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's 2 big things not to do, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing is, and this is my personal experience, don't roll a real, like, stoic, stand in the corner and watch everything character, because you're just going to rob yourself of game then, because so much of the game comes from interacting with people and talking to people. And that's what I did. And we've done a whole episode on this, so I'm not going to go into it, but I got more game in the last 2 events when I rolled up like a human, a regular ass human, you know, who's friendly and outgoing, than I did in like 5 games as my stoic fighter.
Yeah.
You know? So like really don't lean into that too much, that kind of trope. And then almost to the same point, try and avoid like joke characters or flanderizations, because Empire is a very real setting. And if you're playing like a 1 or 2 dimensional kind of like, oh, I'm a guy who sells cabbages, my cabbages, you know, or like, oh, hey, I really like, you know, want this one particular fucking in-joke, that will get you like 15 minutes of fun gameplay, and then you're probably just going to stagnate very, very quickly. So try and think of like your character as a real person, like that. Give them fears, give them hopes, aspirations, you know, hatreds, give them, you know, fears, all that kind of thing. And just don't box yourself in, because it's a very, very broad setting, and you want to experience it as a human, not as a caricature.
Yeah. Like, if you're in doubt and you're stuck, just play yourself.
Just play yourself.
Just play yourself.
A fantasy name.
Like,
what's
easy,
your name
easy.
backwards? Midge.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, so yeah, I think my 2 points were don't be a strong silent stoic type, because yeah, you'll get bored, and yeah, don't have your character set in stone. Like, be willing to change your character if needs be.
Yeah. Roll with the punches.
Yeah, which brings us on to point 3.
Wait, do you think I can hit that canister with this knife?
Which canister? Nope, he didn't. He got it on the second one. Tree.
Point
Tree.
You'll notice we moved the nature office deeper into the Glade Warden Forest.
Have we, yeah?
Yeah, it's now the jungle office.
Nice.
Not at all to get away from the wind on the mic.
You can completely change your character after the first event. This is something that I think I didn't know going into my first game, and I would have really liked to have known. Is that, yeah, after your first game, you can basically just give a full respec of everything. You usually be like, I hated them, I want to change. And you can change, and that's absolutely fine. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to go in, make mistakes. Because yeah, you can have gone in and been like, I really want to be an artisan and a priest, and be like, I hate being an artisan and a priest. I want to be something else. It's fine. It's your first event. Everyone knows that you can do this, so like no one's gonna be like,
weren't you an artisan?
Yeah, like, it's a game. It's chill.
Also, there's every possibility you'll rock up to your first game, meet your new best friends. They're in a lance and they need XYZ. And if you're not, you know, loving exactly what you do, you can be like, hey, I can be XYZ, and that's a really cool way to like, oh, I found my place, and now I can change to fit into it, kind of thing, like, you know?
Yeah. So the moral of the story is change yourself to make your friends happy.
Yeah. Is that our point 3?
Oh, sorry. And then the last thing, you also, even if it's not your first event, as you go on, you can retrain skills.
Oh, yes, so you can, at any point.
So you can retrain 1 skill per event, which is really handy. So for the likes of me, I think I've retrained a lot of skills over the past while.
I've retrained every event.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, oh, I got a new shield. I need the shield skill. I'm going to drop something else to pick up shield. And then I realize, oh, you know what? Because I'm now only using a one-hander, I need cleave instead of impale. So I'm going to get that. So super handy, you know, allows you a lot of flexibility without fundamentally changing your character, which is really nice. And then as well as part of that, your resource as well. So when you create a character, you decide if you have a resource, which is like a business, a farm, a herb garden, all that kind of thing, which basically gives you money and stuff to spend. and you can change that for at any point for 2 crowns, which isn't that much.
It's not inexpensive.
It's not inexpensive, but it's not prohibitive, so it can be done. Which brings us on to point.
Wait, do you think I can hit that tree with these knives?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, you got it the first time. You gotta see if you can 2 for 2.
That's a dead mage.
He did 2 for 2, which is a lot better than his last attempt. So yeah, brings us to point 4. 4 score and whatever years ago. We had point 4. Speaking of crowns, what's a crown, Jim?
A crown is 20 rings.
What's a ring?
A ring is like a penny.
And what's a throne?
A throne is 8 crowns.
Yeah, so there is an in-game currency comprising of those 3 denominations. I think denominations is the right word.
Yeah.
Sure. Bits.
Yeah. No, bits is something else.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's computer speak, I think. So we can't, you're not legally allowed to talk about like the costs and price of things outside of the field. So, but we do want to give you some sort of indication, because as a new player, you can go in, you're kind of given like these like resources and coins. It could be kind of daunting to be like,
Jim, right? Because at our very first event, somebody walked up to us in a pub, and they were like, "Hey, I'm selling tiny paper mache swans," and I was like, "That's cool. Here's 5 crowns." So, just to get a general gist of the worth of these things, I'm guessing you have like some food prices or something.
Yeah, exactly. Things that like, so what's important to know is it's a real like economy. So prices are dictated by the market and what people individually decide to set things at and what people are willing to pay. But in general, for your first event, expect to spend about 5 rings on like a pint of alcohol, or like a snack like a cookie or a muffin, slice of cake, that kind of thing.
But again, that will vary depending on who you walk up to, because it's all set by the vendors. You know?
And then very roughly as well, expect in and around a crown, and this can vary by like 5 rings either side, so not giving you any specifics here, but for resources like things that you find in mines and forests, so like ambergelt, green iron, dragon bone, that type of thing, expect this, that they are worth roughly a crown. Again, just as a guideline. And as for a throne, couldn't tell you. We're poor, we don't know what a throne looks like or what to do with one. We could no, you don't know, you have nothing. So yeah, there's also a really handy thing to know if you want to get into that trading game. There are in-game publications. I think there's like the Thrifty Squid, and there's something else that will list all the prices. Every
event, somebody will have like the market rates for everything on like an in-game publication that you can go to like the Artisans Guild or something and find a copy of.
Yeah.
So if trading is going to be your game, get yourself to the Artisans Guild like quick, sharp, and in a hurry on the Friday. And that'll get you set for the whole weekend.
And so that's just going to be a very useful thing to know. Because, but it doesn't matter if because you'll get 18 rings as part of your pack, always. That's like your personal spending money that you just get as part of that, so you will have money to spend.
Yeah, you're not going in with nothing.
And then, depending on what resource you've chosen, you'll have some resources to either sell, use for items, etc. Crafting's a whole thing. We're not going to get into it now. But we are going to get into food now, which is going to bring us to point 5.
Hey, do you think I can hit those?
It's like Roman numeral 5.
Oh, very good. Thanks. Do you think I can hit those angry PD employees who are coming at us for talking about the currency out of game?
I really hope you do. So, point number 5, food. So this is something I see quite a lot in like Discords and Facebook groups and stuff. Is like, hey, what are the facilities like? Is like, how do I eat and stuff? So it is a camping event. So you will need to eat there, because obviously
it's like 3 to 4 days.
Yeah. So there are vendors on site that you can spend real like OC out of character money on.
Yeah.
They're a little overpriced.
Look, it's festival pricing.
It's festival pricing.
If you've ever been to a gig, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of just account for that. You're kind of the toasties are about £6, and then a burger is up to like £13 or so. So I mean, it varies. You can do it on more of a budget, but some things will cost you more. That's just how it is. And they're all in the out of character area. But there is a cool in character tavern that also accepts it is a tavern that also accepts out of character money called Moorish.
No, it doesn't. No, the thing to note about Moorish is it doesn't take IC money.
Sorry, yes, it only takes OC money.
Okay, mini sizzler of a point. OC money is referred to as barbarian in the Empire. So
probably handy.
Do you take barbarian means can I use my card?
Yeah. So yeah, you can go there, which is nice. Like, because like, yeah, you get to say in character, you get to have your food. It can, like, it's better valued than I think than the other vendors.
The other thing about Moorish is you can get like a meal pass thing they do sometimes.
So I think like in the weeks coming up to the event, you can buy like meal tickets, which I've never bought them. I don't know how they work, but you can get like a discount on them, which is really handy.
It's kind of like pre-ordering your food. Like if you find Moorish on Facebook, hit them a message and be like, hey, how does this work? I'm sure they'll be more than happy to fill you in.
And they publish their menu ahead of time, so you can see if that's going to be a good choice. You're not kind of just buying blind.
Moorish is like one of my favorite places to eat in the game because it's a fucking tavern.
Yeah.
It's like a Dungeons and Dragons ass tavern right in the middle of the field.
Only downside is it's busy. Because a lot of people want to use it. Expect to queue.
Expect to queue. It's because I've walked into it sometimes and just walked straight up to the counter. Other times I've been 40 minutes in the queue for.
So, yeah, it varies, but it's good. Definitely check it out. There's also a bar, which also accepts Barbarian OC money. I've never been. Can't really tell you about it. I asked people who have been, and they got really into just telling us about the price of Coke and mead. Nothing else.
That was me. I got a Coke in there. It was actually cold. It was on the Sunday, like right before timeout, and it was still cold. And I was like, "This is good."
Yeah, no, it's like,
and it was a good like big glass, like it was almost a pint there.
I mean, you'd expect to pay that in a bar. So I think it's maybe a little bit more expensive than like normal bar prices, but not. I don't think it's as expensive as festival beer prices and stuff. So.
Here's a spicy little lore tip.
Okay.
That bar is called the Forge, and it's where the document that created the Empire was signed, and that's why the Summit of Anvil, which is what the event is held in a random field 4 times a year, because they go to where the Empire was created, which was around this bar called the Forge.
That is a nice spicy little tidbit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course, look, as I said, it's camping. You can bring your own food, so if you have a means to cook it, you can do that. There's towns nearby on like both the west and east side road.
Yeah, you're right next to Dadford, and you're not a mile of ground from like Buckingham either. So.
Yeah, so yeah, you can buy things there.
And I know
really
people who have done the only IC challenge as well, where they'll only get their food IC for the whole weekend.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely doable.
I've known people who have wasted away attempting that as well. So.
Last event we saw people like selling like burgers and things.
People like if you go into Navarre, like to the Navarkit and stuff. Is that what it's called?
There's that cereal.
There's a place in Navarre that does cereal in the morning. There's a place in Navarre that does like toasties and sausage rolls and stuff throughout the day.
Yeah.
And there are people like selling burgers. It can be done.
Yeah,
it can be done. Just go to is it Highguard who have the hospitality and they have to feed you if they
Barushka.
They have to feed you if you walk into the tent. Just metagame that. You'll be fine.
But yeah, so then that brings us to point 6, which is all about camping.
Paint can. On the ricochet twice. Ask the paint can through its 2 gaping holes.
I mean, do ricochets count? Camping. It is a camping event. Camping's not your thing.
Well, actually, you can get by. There are B&Bs nearby. You're just going to pay through the face for them.
Probably. You know? No idea how much they are. There are hotels. I'm not sure if there's hotels.
There's hotels.
There probably is. It's near to Silverstone Racetrack. So, like, there is accommodation around, but...
Like we said in the last point, like, Dadford and Buckinghamshire are, like...
Towns.
Yeah. They're like 10-minute drive, so they're going to have something that you can stay in if you're in a pinch.
Yeah.
You know?
Alternatively, if you're lucky enough to own a camping van or a camper van or something like that, or a mobile home, maybe not a mobile home, I don't know what the difference is.
A mobile home, you wouldn't bring a mobile home to it. They're like, the big square ones.
Oh, yeah,
like a full fucking house.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
So, not one of them. Don't know, it'd be wild. There's just a full one of them. But yeah, so there are, obviously, so then there's two types of camping. There's OC camping and IC camping. Yeah. You can't bring a mobile home or a camper van into the IC camping area.
No, you can't.
Because the IC camping area
Unless you have a very big tent to put over.
Yeah, that is on the field. It is the actual game field that you're camping on. It's real cool. Like, I love that we've moved to IC camping now.
I'd never go back.
Yeah.
I'd never go back.
I think it's... The only benefit that OC camping has is that sometimes it's a nice way to kind of dip out, decompress where you're fully away from things, but you can also just do that in your own tent in IC and out as well.
You go into your own tent and decompress if you need to, or just go out to like the God area, get yourself coffee, decompress there. Like,
exactly. But basically the OC camping area then kind of like envelops the rest of the camp. So if you'll just say, basically as you drive in, you'll say, oh yeah, I need to go to Dawn OC, and you'll be directed to it, and you're kind of only a short walk then to the Dawn camp. Yeah. Same if you're in Navarre or the Marches was on like the other side of the field.
Any of the 10 nations.
Any of the 10 nations.
You'll be directed to.
Yeah. So
if you are planning on camping IC, you're going to need a tent that suits the setting.
Yes.
So you're not going to, like, if you have like, oh, I have a canvas tent, but it has a big logo on the side of it, no go. No. You'd want to kind of just get yourself a bell tent.
If your canvas tent is too shiny, it's a no-go. So there are strict kind of rules and guidelines as to what's acceptable for your IC camping. So just make sure that your tent adheres to those. It's theoretically possible to rent a bell tent, and there are some other companies that will pitch ones for you.
Yeah.
As far as you know, they sell out real quick and are hard to get to.
Like,
so
I've heard there's like arrangements in place for like standing orders, because there are people who'd be like, oh, I have mobility issues, so there'd just be a tent put aside for them.
Yeah.
Stuff, so don't bank on that being an option.
Yeah. Good point about mobility issues and stuff though. If you have accessibility needs, Empire's actually really accommodating. This is kind of just a side point, but kind of very relevant when it comes to camping and stuff. So even with the IC camping, you have to basically book a spot for IC camping, and priority goes to people with accessibility needs and or childcare needs or anything for that. So
yeah,
you will be catered to. Basically, you won't be left hanging.
If you do have accessibility issues, or specifically mobility, maybe look at Varushka. Now, not to say go wherever you want, but Varushka is right next to the facilities and right next to God, close enough to the center of the game that you won't have to do that much moving around.
Yeah.
Which is something that warrants consideration.
Yeah. And as
being one of my favorite places in the Empire, it's so fucking cool.
And as a side note to that, mobility aids are always in character. So if you have a scooter, walking frame, canes, anything that you need to move around, they are in character. So you can use them. In the vein of immersion and what's in character about your kit, let's talk about point 7, which is your kit.
The hoodie. Double miss.
Double miss.
The hoodie's hard. It's kind of around a corner.
Yeah, that was kind of you kind of have to lob it, otherwise you're going to hit the camera.
Yeah.
So, in the same vein of immersion, here's point 7. Your kit. The images on the wiki are like the cream of the crop of kit.
Yeah, those images are there because they are the best. These are professional costumers who are on the 8th or 9th year of their game. There's some of them who have been building these kits from Odyssey and shit beforehand. So don't go on the wiki. Sorry, jump straight on your point here, but don't go on the wiki. See the incredible fucking costumes there and get disheartened and be like, oh, it's not for me. I can't do that. Kit is aspirational.
And so what's aspirational means? It basically means there's minimum standards to what your kit has to be, which basically means don't rock up in jeans and a t-shirt. At least make some sort of effort. I think effort,
chinos at the minimum.
effort is kind of like the big thing that's going to come into these next couple of points. But like, as long as you're making effort for your first event, just so you know, meet the minimum, and then each event, as much as you can, aspire to more, aspire to improve your kit, just continuously add to it, and you'll be there in no time, because a year will pass like no one's business, and you'll be fine. Like, it's grand. And like, the worst thing that's, you know, a very good important thing to know is no one is allowed to negatively comment on anyone's kit. Yeah, you can't be like, ooh, what's your kit? You know, not that anybody would want to do that, but that is actually against the rules. Yeah. The worst thing that might happen to you is that somebody will get the wrong nation for you. You're two young bucks in Dawn, and everyone's like, are you Navarre? And you're like, no, we're Dawn. That's 4 of our events before we decided to put a flower on. So like, just go for it. And like big deal. That's just people trying to figure out who you are. That's like almost an IC interaction. Yeah, at that point, it is, because then that's an excuse to talk, you know? And a basic kit is very achievable as well. I don't know if you have this in your bullet points, because I only read the first point of these. Yeah. But, like, you can go in with just, like, if you go 2 pennies, Primark for those guys, right, for the British. For if you're British inclined, it's Primark. You can go in and get, like, just a kind of a brown pair of sweats, and then, like, get yourself just, the best thing you can get is a linen undershirt. You can get them dead cheap on like all the LARP sites. Yeah. We get ours off Celtic Web Merchant. But there's a million sites out there. You've got actually the vendors in the field and stuff as well, but I'm sure you've got a point in there on that. Just get yourself like a good undershirt and some pants, and that'll do you for any nation. That, as your base layers, are perfect. Yeah. And that is enough. If you just want to go, I'd maybe get a cloak as well, because it can get cold at night. Yes. But you can make a cloak. Like, fucking, I bought this in IKEA. You know, you can just fold it such a way and put a pin in it, and it's a cloak. You know? Easy. Yeah, like, I mean, obviously then, to an extent, maybe choose the role in nation. If, you know, money is a concern, or time is a concern for your thing, don't go being like, well, I want to be a Dawnish Earl as my first event, and be like, well, I can't dress the part of that. But I mean, you could dress the part. You could be like you could easily be a marcher or something. You know. I'm gonna interject and say, no, because you can let your game reflect it. If you don't have the kit to be like that Dawnish noble, you know, you can be like, I was set upon on my way to Anvil. Also, they left me with just the clothes on my back, and they took my finery. Also, you know? Viable. Like, you, as long as it just hits that minimum, this is a medieval setting, fantasy setting, like, it can be a white shirt and pants, and you can justify it with your story. Go for it. Let me defend myself there a bit. When I say that, more along the lines of what you're going to feel comfortable playing with. If you imagine your Dawnish noble or Earl as being the highfalutin, everything extravagant, and you can't do that, well then don't. But if you want to go that route, then do. You know, as long don't disappoint yourself. Don't get into the field expecting one thing, and then when your kit doesn't hit that thing that you had in your head, which is something I've done a million times. Like, our first event, I imagined us looking like characters from For Honor. And we showed up in, like, you know, basic plate that we got off Celtic Web Merchant. Yeah, like the cheapest plate we could get. Yeah. But hey, fucking everyone does it. Everyone does. And simple can go a long way. Simple can go an awful long way. Second point in this point is weapons. I would say don't buy your weapons online. Don't do it. Wait till you get there. All your weapons need to be checked before you go into battle. You'll be given like a little elastic band to go on them. Yeah. Buy your weapons there. There are tons of vendors that sell not just weapons, but they sell kit. They sell, don't bank on getting kit though. No, not for all things, but like you could, and there are. I know I think it's Hefty Yeti. I think Hefty Yeti does a thing where he's like kits people out an entire new set of kit for like less than £100 or something. You know, the event. Yeah, at the event, cool. Day of. So you can rock up having nothing, go to the vendors who all understand the game, play the game, and be like,
I'm
a
lot
new
of the
character.
vendors are like half IC as well, which is very cool.
You can be like, go in and be like, I am a new character in X Nation. What have you got for me? And you could be sorted.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The nice thing as well is if you do buy your weapons there, and they will, don't worry, I still panic about, oh, my perfect weapon is going to be sold out. Has never happened. I've always rocked up and gotten exactly what I wanted.
There's so much choice.
There's like the shelves are still packed when they're setting down on Sunday. So they're not going to run out of weapons.
What, like 12 vendors?
12 or 13 weapons vendors.
Like there's so much out there. You will be fine. And as Jim said, they don't sell out.
And besides, look, we are 2 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 more up in the cabinet.
Actually, that's a great point, Jim.
If you show up, somebody will give you a weapon.
Yeah.
And I take this one into the field with me. You take this one, now I take this one. Everything else I just give to people. And I have. Every event is like, here's a sword, here's a sword, here's a sword, you can fight with this. Somebody will give you a weapon. If you don't have the, because they can get a bit pricey.
Some people give you armor as well. There are a lot of people, like we have spare armor and we've only been doing the game a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like
there's actually, I see armor rental places now. I saw one next to the Sentinel Gate. I can't for the life of me remember the name, but it's a great idea. It's like the Armory armor rental. And you go in, you're like, I need some chain. And they'll be like, they've got like 15 sets of chain.
That's
and they're
great.
Like, this one will fit you. And it's like, you know, like, oh, that's 5 rings for the battle or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
That's cool. That's
very cool stuff.
That's very smart as well. Yeah. But yeah, so you've made your character, you've bought your kit, you decided how you're going to survive the weekend. Now let's talk a little bit about playing the game. So let's talk about point 8.
Myself off the wall. They don't bounce as much as I thought. Myself in the sky.
Point 8, playing the game. The game starts before time in. What does that mean? It means make plans, make connections, have an idea of what you want to do, how you're going to do it, talk to people before the game and be like, hey, I understand that you're the archmage of whatever. I'd love to get into the Magic game. Can I approach you IC? And then be like, yeah, cool. We can say we've met on the road or we've known each other beforehand. Come up to me. I'll get you involved in the game or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that is the one thing that I think, that's my biggest thing that I wish I knew before starting.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have any connections. Well, to an extent, we had no big connections.
Well, we had
2 connections. We had Lloyd and Ben, who we met in the new player skirmish.
Like, but no, before we set foot on the campsite,
Yeah.
didn't know anyone in the field. Didn't know a one.
And I think that for me, anyway, I don't know about you, Jim, but that, like, definitely, I think, I don't want to say set our game back, but that definitely, you know, made it. No, I'm phrasing this wrong. The fact that we now plan ahead of time and have ideas of the things we want to do with other people means we get so much more game out of the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. Like the difference between E1 for us last year, where time in, we went for a wander. We didn't have anything. Like we were like, let's see what this place is about, which is a great idea on your first event. Go for a wander. I'll say E3 even last year, when we just had our immediate friends.
Yeah.
And we were like, right, I'm going to go and, you know, go here and do this thing that I independently want to do.
Yeah.
You start putting your feelers out and you're like, hey, can I contact you, IC? Can I send you some IC mail beforehand? Can we say we met on the Trods? We met on the road to Anvil? And like, E1 this year, time in. Earl Finton! Somebody came running across the field looking for us because we had set a little bit of game up ahead of time.
Yeah.
That was great. Like, do yourself a favor and start playing your game now.
Yeah. And it's simple. It's literally just a case of just, you know, join your nation's Facebook group or Discord or whatever, and just be like, hey, I want to be, going back to that very first point we made, I'm interested in X part of the game. Can I be involved in it?
Yeah.
Great, yeah, let's do it. So, yeah, because like, I think, you know, it can be very overwhelming to just go in and like wing it, and I think some people can completely flourish in those situations.
Some people do so well at that.
But I don't know. It's very possible, I think, to get overwhelmed by the sheer scale of it, because nothing prepares you for that scale.
No, it's a town. Like it's like a small city that you're walking into. And every single tent has 15 stories going on inside it, and there's so many tents, and there's so many people on the field, and like it'll be time in, and people will just start milling, and you're gonna be like, whoa, there's so much happening here. Where do I fit into it?
Yeah,
And
even if like social media and stuff like isn't your thing, if you're camping either OC or IC, just talk to your neighbors. Be like, hey, what's your story? Is there anything we can be involved in? Let's be friends, basically, because people will love it,
Yeah. I have a bonus point that I don't think I can see on your list here.
Okay.
If it is your first event, and you know roughly what you're into, PD puts on preliminary training for that thing. So if you want to do the military game, they do a new player skirmish. I 100% recommend going to it. Not only because you're going to meet new people, that's where we met all our friends at, but you're going to learn how the combat works in the game, how the battles work in the game. You're going to get a sense for the battle before you actually do one, because they can be like, there's a press in the battles and it can be a bit intimidating if you're not used to it. So go do that. If you want to do archery, there's archery training. If you want to do the magic game, there's magic game training. There's talking about the synod. There's talking about the political game, the Senate, So get there early, before time in. So one, you can just get a sense for the field, and two, hit these big new player events that are just so helpful. There's even a new player, what do they call it? The new player briefing. And it'll just give you an overview of the game as well.
Yeah. To add on to that, like, the game is Friday to Sunday, Friday at 6. The earlier you can get there on Friday, the better, because it allows you to get to all of these briefings and skirmishes and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can actually arrive Thursday from like lunchtime onwards.
Yeah.
If you can do that, I would recommend it, because again, you'll get talking to people. Just walk up to people's tents if you hear people like sitting around drinking, having a laugh, socializing, and be like, hey, can I join you? Guarantee you everyone will say yes. Everyone is super helpful.
I've never met anyone being like, no, piss off.
Yeah.
Not that I walk around being like, can I sit at your fire?
Yeah.
But like, we've had multiple times, people just like, twice people have just walked into our tent at night and been like, yo, what's up in here?
Yeah, like, you guys partying?
Well, we're telling stories, but you can join in, like,
So, like, it's a super welcoming place. There's all sorts of interactions and levels of interactions that will get you involved in the game, and do it. Like, it can be daunting, it can be scary, but you will regret not doing it.
Here, I'm gonna give you the best tip in this whole video.
Okay. Ooh.
Use the phrase, I'm new to Anvil.
That too.
Use it sparingly. Use it so much. It is so helpful. Just not sure about something.
Are you using it sparingly or so much?
What does sparingly mean? I misunderstood what sparingly means.
Sparingly is like, not very liberally.
Oh fuck, use it liberally. Like, do not spare your use of it.
Yes.
Yes. I can speak the language. Like, literally walk up to someone and be like, hi, I'm new to Anvil. Can you explain what this is?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm new to Anvil and I don't know how to do this. Hi, I'm new to Anvil and there's 200 orcs running at me. What do I do? And in that instance, throw many knives. You can't miss if it's the line. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you get out of the game what you put in. So like, the more attempts that you make to talk to people, to actively get involved, the more you'll get out of it, assuming that's what you want. And it's completely valid, as you said earlier, Jim, to just be like, you know what, it's my first game, I just want to go be a tourist, wander around,
just go and exist.
Absolutely valid. You'll pick up things then of what you find interesting, what piques your interest, and you can be like, huh, for my next game, I'm going to do that, and I realize I know it's this person does that. I'm going to talk to them in between events and see what the crack is. So,
bonus tip.
A lot of bonus tips in this.
One. There are tours, walking tours of Anvil.
Yeah.
Going to recommend a good one for you.
Yeah.
Find yourself Dorian.
The Wandering Griffin.
Yeah, the Wandering Griffin tour. Just a fantastic tour of Anvil. Exactly at time in on the Friday. Just search Wandering Griffin in the Facebook page and you'll find the post about it. Zebediah is the guy's name. Fantastic tour. Wholeheartedly recommend.
But yeah, so that brings us to point 9. You've been wondering, but now it's time to fight!
They both hit the same spot.
Can't help you, Jim. I'm frozen.
I'll just do one this time. Ah! Leaving all this in, it's been recording for that whole set.
Yeah, I know. I've been very animated on camera here. It's making it incredibly enticing and good to watch.
Time to fight!
Time to fight! Battles! So if you're interested in fighting, as Jim mentioned, go to New Player Skirmish. It's really good. A couple of things I think you should know about the combat game.
If you're interested in fighting well, come find us.
That too. Definitely do that. We'll gladly teach anyone, the beginners of not just sword fighting, any weapon you want to know, come find us. We'll sort you out. No questions asked.
That's our whole spiel. That's our whole spiel.
Actually, that brings me to a point that I wanted to make way back in point like 4 or something, the concept of prosperity. That we would do it for prosperity. That is just to... How do you explain prosperity? It's not quite charity. It's just like...
charity is
not a thing.
Heretical. It's not just not a thing.
Yeah.
It's bad to be charitable in Empire.
Yeah, being prosperous is like basically spreading the wealth for the good of spreading the wealth and, you know, putting a value on things. So
the flow of currency benefits the Empire.
Yes.
Therefore, prosperity is a virtue.
And if you can afford to spend more on something, you should do it because that is a prosperous act. If you can afford to spend time and effort teaching people how to better themselves in combat, that is for the good of the Empire and is prosperous and virtuous to do so. So we will do that for you. Also, if you're selling things in Empire, ask for prosperity pricing because you'll probably do better. Anyway, this is about battles. The main, I think important kind of core thing to know about battles is you fight on one morning, either Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and then the other morning you monster.
Yeah, and if you fight, you have to monster.
Have to monster.
Yeah.
Monstering basically means, because it would be wild to expect the organizers to field an entire like volunteer army to fight against. Roughly half of the players who are going to fight will fight against half of the other players who are monsters. They are the orcs for the weekend. So
that's one of the big draws for Empire is the scale of the combat.
Yes.
And that's how they pull it off, is they have, you know, half the nations fight the one day and the other half are berry picking or on maneuvers.
Yeah.
Or whatever excuse it is for your character to disappear for 2 or 3 hours to go and be a monster.
You don't, if it's your first event, you don't need monstering kits specifically, but try not to have any like personal heraldry or be like, obviously, I'm a Donish noble or something like that.
Don't bring your house's logo monstering, basically. Like, if you can, get yourself something like this from
this is where
the local pound shop.
The base layers are really good because there's always like thralls or slaves in the monstering army who are fighting, so you can just
some of the most fun you can have on the monstering field.
Also would be very, very fun, but like a stripped back version of your kit will work.
And you will very often be given some monstering kit by PD as you go through the gate in. So you know what to expect when you monster.
Yeah, good.
What will happen on the morning you're not fighting is you'll be told to go to God, and then just beyond God is kind of the staging area for all the skirmishes and the battles and stuff. Inside that staging area, you'll be given, so say I rock up with my sword, there'll be loadouts basically on these big boards, and it'll say if you have one sword, this is what you are. You can do a cleave, you can do a stag Whitney, and whatever it is the army needs on that day. So you just look at your weapon and you find the board that applies to you, memorize what you can do, step through. They're going to say, okay, hey, are you XYZ? And you'll say, yes, I'm doing this. And they'll say, go over there. And as you go through, you pass through a little tent and they'll give you, generally like they have kind of these, they look like Mordor orc breastplates basically. They'll give you one of them and they might give you some armor or something. sometimes you get given an orc mask, like a latex orc mask for you to wear. It's never happened to us. We always end up being marchers.
Yeah.
Fighting for the Jotun. But then you're going to be sent through into the field. As you go through the gate, you'll be stopped. There'll be a PD crew member there, and they'll be like, what are you? You'll tell them what you are, and they'll be like, go gather over there, and your commander will come and get you. So you'll go, and you wait under a tree, and someone will walk up, and they'll be like, oh, all right, everybody, what's up? My name's Dave. I'm going to be leading you through today. Remember, no marcher bullshit. And then from there, you're in good hands. Don't need to tell you anymore.
Yeah.
There will also be that morning a little brief posted, usually on the toilet doors. That'll be like, monsters, if you have any red kit, wear it today. Or if you have anything blue, wear it today. So it's a good idea to just bring a few cheapo headbands or rags that you can just tie around your head. So like, if they're like, you need red, you have a bit of red cloth, you tie like Ryu from Street Fighter.
Yeah, you'd like wear it as like a sash or something, just so that you're
just
like
tie it around your arm, just so you have an
something that you're like somewhat like, oh, you are a monster or something like that. Because the last thing you want to be able to do is be mistaken for an Imperial soldier and walk backwards in enemy lines or something and then cause an international incident. That would be terrible. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, that'd wipe out the whole of the Brass Coast. I had to think about it.
I mean, that would be one potential outcome from a situation like that. Secondly, take it easy on people in the battles, both as a player and as a monster. You don't know if you're up against someone who's been fighting for decades or if it's someone's very first fight. You could very quickly tell.
You will tell very quickly, but you don't want to rely on that first hit. If I go in and I do something like a scary feint on the first hit, that's not the way to find out. Like, you know, get a sense for your opponent before you go hell for leather at them, you know?
And yeah, because people, like, not everyone, you might be really, really into the combat game and all you care about is fighting and you take it real seriously. But then you've got people there who are like, I just want to try out the combat game, maybe I'll like it, and they come in and they get like hit real hard and it puts them off and you've ruined their game.
Also, don't hit real hard. You gotta pull your blows in Empire. We're gonna do a video on combat in Empire in its entirety.
Yeah.
But like, err on the side of not on. You know?
And finally, know the rules and the calls when it comes to combat. It is very, very frustrating as both player and monster when your opponents don't take calls correctly. It's not the end of the world, and look, everyone makes mistakes, but do try to make an effort.
And there will be situations where a call can't be taken for like health and safety reasons or something.
Yeah. This is why the new player skirmish very, very important, and the combat briefing super important. But know what happens if you get impaled, if you get cleaved, if you get shot. Like
if you get struck down, you have to there's a very specific way you have to fall and stuff. You know. And if like even I'm guilty of this. Like the first time we went to battle, somebody was like, impale, and I was like, what does that do again? Yeah. And then I don't take the call for a heartbeat because I'm not sure. And then I erred onto the side of, if I took any call, I'm like, well, I'm dead. Because that's the baseline.
Yeah.
Know? So,
so just, there's a bit of knowing in that, but it's worth knowing, and it's if you're going to play that game, it's worth just investing a bit of time into the rules and just ask around. What's your video on combat when it becomes available? It'll be up here maybe. I don't know if we'll ever do that. But yeah, this brings us to our final point. Point 10.
The headphones. It's arcing them around the camera so hard.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough.
It's not good enough, is what it is.
So, very, very important to know kind of everything involved, like combined here. Unlike D&D or other like tabletop RPGs, in order to do something in game, you gotta do it in game.
Yeah.
But with this, you know, if you start calling yourself, I'm the wisest person in the Empire, or I'm the strongest person in the Empire,
somebody's gonna come up and challenge
you. Gotta be able to back that up. And kind of, I guess a byproduct of that is that, you know, by virtue of you doing everything, you know, your IC emotions, your in-character emotions can very easily bleed over to real life. So it's very, very easy to understand how if your character dies, or even if your friend's character dies, that's very upsetting for you both as a character and as a player.
Yeah.
And kind of being able to understand the barriers between that. If something gets stolen from you, because like, hey, theft is legal in games, it's completely understandable that you would be like,
and it happens.
You'd be super pissed off and upset about that.
Yeah.
And so like, or if you have a really heated scene with someone that like, it's like, okay, I need to remember this is just a game. I'm here to have fun.
It's all pretend.
Yeah, it's all made up.
Yeah. Because like, I've been in situations where like somebody say something in the middle of a battle or something, and I'm like, that's a dick thing to say. But I was like, well, he was an orc trying to kill me. So I guess all's fair in that regard. But you got to be able to step back and just take a moment and be like, not real.
Because
absolutely,
even though
all pretend.
The swords are fake, the feelings are real.
That's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, it happens. So just like make sure that you like decompress properly after it, that you check in with people that you've maybe had something.
That's the biggest thing. Check in. Like, check in before something's going to happen. Before time in. Hey, my character is going to come at you for what happened yesterday. It's all just pretend. You know, you got to be like, are you okay if I yell at you? Are you okay if I come in and say really horrid shit about your character? Or like,
and if someone comes to you and it says that, and if you're not in a good emotional place for that for whatever reason, just say no.
Yeah.
Just say no, because it's like, again, it's a game.
You can fully just be like, actually, OC, I'm not alright with this. Can we step back for a minute?
Yeah.
Like you can just step out of character and be like, no, this is hitting me. Hold on a second. You know?
Yeah. Like, everyone is here to have fun and have a good time, and like that's the most important thing. So if something is taking away from that, like,
do you know, I was reading about the Skull and Crossbones LARP today because it's something I'd really like to do.
Oh yes, yeah.
And it's not a thing anymore. it's a vampire sailing boat one, which is like, why is everything turning into vampires? Yeah. Anyway, neither here nor there. But they have a really good check-in system.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. So they have two ways of doing it, right? The first is the phrase, really, really. So if you say, oh, I really, really didn't like that, it's a way of IC saying, oh, see, that wasn't okay for me.
Oh, that's good.
I'm really, really afraid of going in there.
Yeah.
Might be, like, let people know, oh, they're going to need a bit of help to do this, you know? Really, really. It's not in Empire, but I'm going to try and tell as many people as I can about really, really, because it's great.
That's a very smart thing,
and then the other thing they have is distance checks. So if, say, you're over by the paint bucket again, and you're not okay that someone just threw knives at you, you can be like, and then there's 3 symbols. It's fine, don't worry about it. Actually, I'm not sure I liked that.
Yeah.
I need to get out of this situation. Super low key. You don't have to open your mouth. I see. You can just be like, okay. They'll be like.
And I've done that with people in the battles.
Yeah.
Before, in the last battle we were in, like, I was in the line. I came against someone, and like I could tell that they were nervous. Even just before
I came against that. I was next to you in the line. We came, like, there were a lot of new players into Navarre last game, and we were going against Navarre. Were monstering for us. So like.
Yeah, and I could see that they were a bit nervous, and they even looked at me first. I think there was like a brief call because the ref said something, or maybe we were just holding until, you know, the line formed or something. But I could see them kind of look at me and be like basically, take it easy. And I was like,
you were done up like to the nines in armor. With
I was taking and like traded blows, hit them, and I was like, was that okay? Are you good? And they gave the thumbs up, and I was like, grand, cool. I'm gonna kill you now. Sorry, bam, 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 bam. But like, it was.
Oh, 100%. Like, you'll have times where you're on a line.
Yeah.
And like, you'll get chatting to the orc because neither army has been told to advance. You know, oftentimes that's insane trash talk. But numerous times I've been there in like the full plate with like fucking face taker like this, and you know, you'd see the person is like, you know, like they might be smaller than you, or it's their first time in combat. You can tell, and they're a bit, you know, wide-eyed, doe-eyed, like, and you're like, you okay? Like, give them a smile, be like, are you okay? And they'll be like,
remind them it's a game. Because it's a game.
Everybody's friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Because again, the swords are fake, but the feelings are real. And you get scared in battle. You get overwhelmed in battle. It happens.
It really does. And especially look out for your friends in the crush. Because the crush is when you're in a choke point oftentimes people will build a unit they didn't expect to get thrown into something that intense that quickly, because it's like shields, people yelling, you know, there are weapons coming over your head, you know, someone is trying to hit you with a stick.
There's shouts coming from behind you from things you can't see, so you're not sure.
You know, like it can be panicking. You take a step back, there's someone behind you and you're being pushed forward. Put your hand up and be like, OC, like just put your hand up and somebody will get you out of there.
That's actually a really nice bonus tip. Generally, putting your hand over your head is like an indicator of I'm out of character, I don't want to be interacted with, you don't see me, I don't exist. It's kind of an excuse to do anything. If you're in combat, if you do that and go, I think you're assumed to be dead.
You're assumed to be dead if you have your hand up on the battlefield. Nobody will interact with you if you have your hand up.
But yeah.
Over the course of this, I've come up with a couple more spicy tips for the battles.
Okay.
So,
well, I think we're definitely going to end up doing a full combat / battle video at the point.
Well, these are over.
Okay, hit them.
Actually, broad strokes. Empire, completely gender neutral. Don't be like, we need more men over here. Oh, yeah, we need more heroes over here. We need more soldiers over here, okay? Media has been like, you know, more men to the gate, whatever.
Yeah.
Drop it. It's done. So fucking 1990s. We need more troops. Do not call for a medic if you're down. Yeah. Call for a healer. Because if you're down and you call for a medic, they will stop the game and bring in a paramedic because you're assumed to be out of character injured. Yeah. They'll say all this in the nuclear skirmish, obviously. Shit like, do you know, there's a lot more we'll go through in the combat video, but just, can you think of any more of these broad things that we take for granted?
If you see someone get hurt, you shout man down, and you...
Ironically enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And you take a knee and you put your hand over your head.
And a ref will declare a time stop.
Yeah.
And everything stops, everybody takes a knee, they sort it, and then you...
and generally, just always listen to the refs. They are invisible, but if they say something you
it just assumes someone has popped into your head and are like, come over here and talk to me.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot more that we can go into that I think.
Do you know what is a good thing? If you have questions, pop them in the comments of this video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that is our last point, except it's not. For you all deceived, and an additional point was made.
In the shadows.
In the shadows of the jungle office. As a new player, you can get a discount on your first event. If an existing player refers you, you will both get, I think it's £15 off.
Yeah.
So if you have a friend who has
already
brought
played
you to Empire or has referred you, ask them for their referral code. If you have no friends and you're looking for a £15 discount, both myself and Jim, every player will have one. Feel free to use ours. We would love it, of course. It'd be a nice way of supporting us.
Yeah. We have to pay a lot of money to get to Empire.
So
trash that ocean.
But let us know in the comments if there's other tips that you would have. Other top things you think people should know. I think we're going to do it.
Put your tips in the comments.
Yeah.
Put your questions in the comments.
We'll probably do another. There's a lot more we could say. We asked a load of shout out to all of our friends who gave us a lot of these.
Thank you for everyone who fed us, who wrote this episode for us.
A lot of them we didn't even get a chance to look at. There's a lot of kind of just like super useful top tips that maybe wouldn't have been a full point on their own, but we might make another video that kind of includes all of them. But yeah, let us know in the comments if you want us to delve into anything more, or if there's anything more in depth you want us to talk about.
And one final point before you go. Throwing knives are expensive. Expect to throw your money away. If you want to find yours, each throwing knife usually has a hole in it, tie a little ribbon around it. And that way, if you've been like me in this game, you'll be able to identify your knives after the fact. Or a very kind egregore will keep them in their tent for you.
Until then,
stay dangerous.
Oh, I was gonna... Yeah, nice.
Also, go listen to Hearthfiretales. Our new season just dropped.